I think that as a country, there's a need for us to, even if we are unable to be honest all the time, but to strive to be more consistent, especially in the analysis of the things that affect people every day in their, basic day-to-day activities. What I don't find consistent, because I do not want to use dishonest. What I do not find consistent, because I do not want to use honest, is the shifting, explanations and understanding of what the impact of the indicators, so-called, are supposed to be. Yesterday, Dr. Bawumia, whose claim to fame, unfortunately, I feel very sad about it. It seems to me in the NPP is how well he has gained notoriety for disrespecting and undermining John Dramani Mahama. It seems to me that is his claim to fame in the NPP, and he backs in that glory. When he attempted once again to introduce an analogy that completely, in my view, was not rational.
Which one is that?
You recall when he said that you could do all the propaganda you wanted with the economy, and that the fundamentals were going to expose you. And now, confronted with that same theory, the fundamentals were going to expose you in how it reflected in exchange rate. Now, confronted with a similar situation, then he introduces, a very weird logic of inability to walk and not having a leg. Let's be, and you see, he's a doctor, and the argument must be intelligent. Right. Let us all just go back to when he proposed this theory.
Was it 2014?
2014. What were the indicators?
He said they were down, flat.
And that is where I talk about consistency, because I don't want to be too hard and use dishonest. At the time, the propaganda he referred to was because the NDC was touting the strong indicators. The NDC at the time was touting the strong indicators, the longest sustainable inflation decade ever. The NDC was touting the GDP growth, and the NDC was touting the strong fundamentals. And he said, you can make all the noise you want. The exchange rate will expose you. He did he did not say it without a context. The context was that the NDC was bragging about the good indicators.
So inflation was stable,
yes.
The GDP was good.
And right, you will remember that was when he said that we should go home and give our wives a single-digit inflation chop money to go to the market and see if they will be happy with us. Because there was an admission that the indicators at the time were good, and the NDC, or at least, were pointing to good. And the NDC was making noise about it. And he said, shut up. Go and give your wives.
Are we able to point to those indicators as the one we have now, in terms of the levels?
You see, we are talking about the impact of indicators. So even if the indicators at the time, for example, that was the first time we achieved single-digit inflation. And it was sustained for a very long period. And again, that was the time our GDP almost doubled after the rebasing. You recall we did, and that is a record that stands in the name of the NDC. The highest ever GDP growth posted in this country was under the NDC government, about 14%. So that was the time the NDC was saying that, look, and interest rates were coming down, because we had come from a period of, turbulence. Prices of our exportable commodities were all down. And so we were saying that, look, there's hope, because the indicators are pointing in a good direction. And Dr. Bawumia said, shut up. Give your wife interest, single-digit inflation chop money, and see if you'll be happy with you. Shut up, because the exchange rate is exposing all the noise about your indicators. So, and then again, within that same period, he even questioned the credibility of the statistical service. So when he is faced with the same situation, and then he now points to external factors, which at the time were actually reasons that the NDC gave, which he rejected.
So he says it is not the fundamentals, but it's an external thing.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. You see, that is the inconsistency that unfortunately makes him notorious in the NPP, especially when he takes jives.
Okay, I see Prof shaking his head. So let me get a reaction and come back to